He says in verse 28, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and he came to give his life as a ransom. The Lord's crucifixion that he was walking into with his eyes wide open, that crucifixion was not just revenge being taken out on him by the Jewish authority because he told the truth and exposed them. His death on the cross was not just a penalty imposed by the Romans for declaring himself to be a king. His death was not just martyrdom. He wasn't a martyr for a worthy cause. It was the ultimate act of service. As the Son of Man's life was given, he says, to pay a ransom. It was given completely. The Greek word translated ransom, lutron, it speaks of a price paid for redeeming captives so as to set them free. This is what he has done for all who follow him. Not just to further oppress us, but to set us free to serve him freely, so I don't have to serve myself anymore. The picture is of people initially being captives or prisoners of sin and death. That is where the world is. Whether they like it or not, they're going to end up in a graveyard. So I hate to tell people, you can get all the world you want, dude. This is where you're going to end up. You are a slave to sin, and you are a slave to death. But through his substitutionary death, Jesus paid the price to set me free. See, I remember talking to a Muslim once, and he was rattling off all the attributes of Allah. There's like 90 attributes of Allah, very impressive. Omniscience, power, glory, self-existence, on and on. Nothing that, the God of the Bible doesn't have. They ripped it off. But I asked him at one point, I said, what about redemption? If he's such a great, powerful God, how does he redeem us from sin and death? This man didn't even understand the concept. He didn't even understand what redemption was. That's because it's totally foreign to every other world religion or philosophy. Every other religion and philosophy leaves you in bondage to your sin. Good luck. Here, I find myself hopelessly trapped in a pit of sin and death. No other worldview can help me get out of it. They just try and tell me, how to live in it. A Hindu, they'll say something, well, maybe if you're just reincarnated into a bird, dude, you can fly out of your pit the next way around. A Buddhist, he'll say, well, it's your bad karma that put you in the pit. You need to change your karma. Well, dude, that's my problem. I got awful karma, whatever that is. A Muslim says, if you could do enough good things, you can elevate yourself out of the pit. I can't do anything. I never could. That's the problem. An atheist says, well, that's life, dude. Just get used to it. We all live in a pit. It's the pits. A psychologist, say, maybe when you were a child, you did something to put you in the pit, so let's examine your past and see what that does. I'm still in my pit, man. The Christian Science, they say there's no such thing as a pit. Just visualize no pit at all. Doesn't help me. An optimist says, hey, that's a nice pit you have there. A pessimist, he says, yeah, well, you should see my pit. Only Jesus climbs down into my pit. He puts me on his shoulders so that I can finally get out. I'm finally free. For God the Father made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we could become the righteousness of God in him. 2 Corinthians 5:21. This gracious Lord of mine, he says, if you want to follow me, Jeff, you got to be willing to do the same for others. It may take your whole life and you might not even get it. But if I want to be close to Jesus, I got to be willing to be trampled underfoot by those less mature than myself. Lay my life down so they can step on me to get closer to God. Am I ready for that? Because that's what Jesus did. That's what God did.